Thank you very much, Amanda. I'll go ahead and call our meeting to order, and I will ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Okay. Town Manager Bill Ashton.
I'm here.
Town Attorney Lisa Yates. Town Attorney Lisa Yates. Okay.
I apologize. I'm here.
That's okay. I just want to make sure. Okay, Councilmember Baker.
Yeah, I'm here.
Councilmember Delagula.
Present.
Councilmember DeCall.
I heard him slightly say here. It cut out a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Councilmember Friedrichs.
Here.
Councilmember McKenna.
Bill, I think you've got he's muted.
I think this is what happened to me last week.
Just nod.
Thumbs up.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. Vice Mayor Olem
Yes.
and Mayor Merkel.
I'm here. Thank you, Amanda. To the public who are here, well, first for the record, we do have a quorum electronically this evening. The town manager, town attorney are present, as well as all of the council members and our town clerk. I'm going to ask, like last week, for all council members to physically raise your hand. It's easier for me to see that than the notification on the WebEx. And to the public who's watching, we appreciate you being here. We have had several glitches. It's been several of us since we've logged on, so we may have some audio issues, but we are doing the best that we can and ask that you bear with us. Once again, as the clerk stated, we are allowed to do virtual meetings only because of the pandemic emergency situation and the ordinance that we passed for continuity of government. And we should be mindful that all of our comments, staff and council, are limited to the crucial continuity of operations items, such as our proposed budget and our public hearing items this evening. I do have an announcement before we move forward. The town's fiscal year 2021 proposed budget was developed prior to the health crisis and was presented to the town council by April 1st as per state law and our town code. It's in the process of being amended to accommodate the new fiscal realities that have been imposed on all of us and all localities because of COVID-19. Therefore, the town council and the town manager have delayed the public hearings on the proposed budget, which were previously advertised and are now advertised for May 12th and May 26th, when we will have a better grasp of the fiscal realities that we are facing. So pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.23708.2A-3, the order of the governor, and in accordance to Ordinance 20-0323, continuity of governmental operations during the pandemic disaster, the work sessions and public hearings are done by electronic means. We are using Cisco WebEx, and details for the meetings will be made available to the public on Thursdays prior to the meeting dates. As noted on our website, the information posted about electronic town meetings, we continue to encourage the public to provide comments for the record at town.clerk@herndon-va.gov. When you send it to that one email address, it's forwarded to the entire mayor and council, and typically the town manager and town attorney. And of course, we're available by phone and all that sort of thing, but we do want to make sure that you're able to reach us, even though the public hearings are a little bit different right now. We do have one public hearing item on our agenda, which is Ordinance 20-0-19. And at the appropriate time later in the meeting, I will ask for a motion to continue the public hearing to July 14th at the recommendation of staff. We do have two sets of minutes up for approval this evening. Is there a motion to approve the March 24th public hearing minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I believe that was moved by Mr. McKenna and seconded by Mr. DeCall. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. Is there discussion on the motion?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so I have to remember not to just call the question, but to ask the clerk to please call the roll.
My apologies. Okay, Vice Mayor Olem,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Delagula,
Yes.
Councilmember DeCall,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedrichs,
Yes.
Councilmember McKenna,
Yes.
Mayor Merkel.
Yes, and that motion carries unanimously. Is there a motion to approve the April 7th work session minutes?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Okay, so I believe that was the Vice Mayor, seconded by Mr. McKenna. I'm going to ask you when you make your motion if you'll like wave a little bit. It makes it a little easier. Thank you. Is there discussion on the motion?
No.
Okay, seeing none, I will ask the clerk to once again please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Olem, Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Delagula,
Yes.
Councilmember DeCall,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedrichs,
Yes.
Councilmember McKenna,
Yes.
Mayor Merkel.
Yes, so that motion also carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Next up, I will recognize Bill Ashton, our town manager, to provide an update on the continuity of operations and matters related to the emergency, followed by questions of council. Mr. Ashton.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple quick administrative items before I delve into my comments. Tonight, our staff is testing our normal live streaming on Granicus, which is through our website as normal. Also, we are on HGTV right now being telecast. We're also shaking that out to see if there are any issues associated with HGTV moving forward so that we can broadcast these meetings live as the rest of the town is accustomed. Also, a video of this WebEx will be available on the website tomorrow morning in the same manner that we make in-person, non-virtual meetings available. So please look at our agendas, minutes portion of our website for that video. Tonight, I will reiterate some of the announcements I made last week at the work session because I know there's some people joining us tonight that weren't available last week, and I just want to make sure that they get the message. I also included a few recent developments that have happened since last week. On the town's response to the COVID pandemic crisis we find ourselves currently in, we had to make some very difficult decisions, as you all know, regarding our services, our staff, and our facilities. And these decisions have been informed by many, many different things, including the best advice from you, Madam Mayor, and the members of council, as well as our emergency management manager, Chief Maggie Ford, the town's management team. We've also been in consultation with local government managers in the region, the Northern Virginia Regional Commission, state and county health departments, and departments of emergency management. Like many of you in your careers, it seems like all I do anymore is spend time on teleconferences and WebExes. It seems like every day, several of them. But communicating with these professionals is very important because we are in uncharted waters. There is no playbook for the things we do. There is no public administration best practices we can call upon. So it's taking the ideas of very, very solid professionals throughout the region and throughout the state we're getting through this all together. And I appreciate all the input all those parties have given to me and my directors over the course of the past many weeks. So since March 12th is when this began, these decisions that we've made have been mostly informed by three guiding principles. We first and foremost want to protect our community and protect our staff. That is the number one guideline that we've been operating on. We've also tried to position the town to meet the highest priority missions. These include public safety, refuse collection, water and sewer, making sure our roadways are safe and passable. And we needed to do this with our mind's eye on not just meeting these missions through the current crisis, but beyond the current crisis. And that is an indeterminate amount of time. Nobody can tell me when this is going to abate and we can get operations back to normal. So we had to focus on making sure we protected and preserved our workforce to meet those missions. As we move more deeply into the crisis, one of the things we're going to talk about tonight, we also added the need to assist our business community as much as legally and ethically possible. They are struggling as well, and we want to make sure that our valued businesses emerge from this so that they can grow back to where they were when they went into this, and that's been on the floor of our mind as well. So with these principles in mind, the town's current status, as of now, as many of you are well aware, all town facilities are closed to the public, but the town is open for business. We are doing it electronically. So please go to our website for how to do business with us. That information's there. Check it out. Also, all town parks and county parks within the town limits are closed. with the exception of the trails, but we ask that you stay respectfully socially distant while walking and running on the trails. But the parks themselves are closed. The golf course is also closed. The cemetery is open for obvious reasons, but graveside gatherings and services are restricted this time. From an events perspective, the Herndon Festival, I'm sad to announce, is for the first time in many, many years, it's been canceled. There was no way we could possibly pull that off under the governor's orders to socially distant until mid-June, and just the planning efforts that we need to go into these last several weeks leading into the festival made that impractical to make that happen. We've postponed spring cleanup, which was scheduled for April 22nd, 24th. We've canceled big truck days, May 7th to May 8th. The children's community is a very popular event, and I'm sorry to say we had to cancel it this year. Friday Night Live, I'm sure they have announced the May concerts and concerts through June 12th are currently canceled. I will yield all questions about that to the chamber and the Friday Night Live folks. They've been wonderful to work with in these weeks, very understanding, and we'll try to get concerts back on the green as soon as we possibly can. Bike to Work is canceled, and Sunday's Mayor's Volunteer Appreciation Reception is also canceled. We've had to make some temporary operation changes to town operations as well. The biggest one is this one you're seeing here, developing the WebEx templates, the legal backing to be able to pull off virtual meetings for you all so that the business of the town can continue forward has been an undertaking, and that's been one of the operational changes we've undertaken. We've also suspended scheduling for any new pickups for refuse that we just are unable to meet those demands at this time. Also, we suspended weekly collection of yard waste. That additional route was putting stress on our ability to meet our recycling demands and our refuse demands in a new operating climate. Interestingly enough, the day we suspended it, within a few hours, Fairfax County suspended theirs. We did not talk to each other before that happened, but I can see them being in a very similar situation. Non-essential police services include tours of the station, wire walls, fingerprinting, all that has been suspended. We are trying to limit our interactions with people as much as possible, and to the work out of our men and women of the police force do out on the streets. That's where we're devoting our time, effort, and energy. The county has also removed the purple bin from the town shop site, and glass recycling has been suspended as well. I was talking at the outset, there were significant budget challenges we had to be observant of. And one of them was the fact that about 35% to 36% of our revenue come out of excise taxes, including meals, hotel, transient lodging, sales tax, and business licensing. 3 of those are taking a major hit right now. And that was going into the final quarter of our fiscal year, means that puts us about 30% of those revenue categories are not going to hit the budgeted numbers. We realized this very early on. That's something that both Jenny Tripoli, our Director of Finance, and I kind of came to terms with early, and we immediately enacted a hiring freeze. So we will not be doing any recruiting or hiring activities that does not directly relate to public safety. We suspended travel. Obviously, that's a no-brainer, but also training has been suspended. We have frozen capital expenditures, with the exception of any expenditures directly related to things that were being paid for out of grants from other governments. Case in point, you will still see activity up on Van Buren Street. That is part of a VDOT grant that we have, and we're still operating. Same thing down in the bus bays on Herndon Parkway. We're continuing forward with that as well. Anything that takes a private home visit, we have suspended. I restricted any operations that will take staff in private homes unless there's a public safety element associated with it. And if they do, they go in protected with proper face masks, gloves, and the like. So that is also was very early on. We've also created a telework policy where we were pushed as many people that could possibly telework out of the buildings to begin to do that. That took about 50, I want to say between 50 and 52 staff are telework eligible, and most of them are out of the buildings on any given day. I left the latitude up to the department heads to determine when they need to have their staff on site versus telework. And so they're rotating in and out based on operational need. But right now we have a vast majority of those people out of the building on any given day. We enacted moratoriums on meetings, both with external customers and internally. We are a pretty significant consumer of WebEx services right now for both internal and external meetings. We put a freeze on overtime. and we've put a freeze on the use of temporary, seasonal, and part-time flexible personnel as well. Those latter two also being cost-saving measures. In the category of efforts to help business, this is entirely driven by the state of emergency, both in the state and in the town. And it's only applicable during those time periods, but we lifted the temporary sign permit requirement for businesses. This was done to help restaurants promote their carryout and delivery services. And for any information on that, I direct you to the town's website. We suspended the policy mandating staff aggressively pursue tax payments owed to town. The money is still owed, and we will work that out. But we took the lead from our federal and state folks that are telling us that right now is not the time to try to put the screws to people. And we've taken a little bit more of a softer approach. We keep engaging with them. We are talking to people that owe us money as opposed to aggressively going after them. We have also tonight we will talk about delaying our real estate taxes 1 month to be in concert with the county. This is something to avoid confusion. This is something that I think is necessary for us to assist our citizens so they don't have two different tax deadlines. We'll also help staff from the perspective of getting the most accurate information from the county in the most timely fashion. We'll cover all that later today. Staff has been in contact with each of our 120 restaurants. We have talked to every restaurant owner in town. We've created a web page on our website that provides information on the restaurants that remain open for carryout and delivery. We gave them their operating hours and the links to their website, so you can see their menus, you can call them, and you can engage with them. The information is on our website, and encourage people to go there to see who's open and running carryout. We've also been in contact with all our supermarkets. Their hours and special considerations like senior hours or things like that are also on our website and can be found there. We're currently reaching out to our other businesses as well. It's an effort we've undertaken to understand what the challenges they're up against, what can the town do to help them in those challenges. And I'm sure we'll be back to you to talk about that more in the future. We've created an online resource page for businesses to get access to all the other governmental programs that exist to help them moving forward. So anything related to the Federal CARES Act, you can get a link off our website to go there to see what you can do to get loans, grants, and et cetera. As the mayor mentioned at the outset, the budget moving forward. Well, the FY 2020 budget, well, we're looking into the end of that fiscal year. We placed all those restrictions on non-personnel related expenditures. We placed restrictions on hiring. That being said, as we learned last week, we are still probably going to need close to $400,000 out of our revenue stabilization fund. That is our rainy day fund to manage the maneuver the rest of this fiscal year. That said, that fund is fully funded at, I think, $1.8 million, in addition to other reserves that we have sitting out there that we talked about last week as well. But that's, we're going to need that money to get us through the end of this fiscal year. The FY 2021 budget, as the mayor also said, we crafted a strategy on how to move forward. I briefed that strategy to you at the work session last week. I encourage anyone who is joining us tonight that did not hear that, go to that WebEx. It is up on our website. Download it and listen to it. We go in depth as to what the budget challenges are and how we intend to move forward when we bring back a budgetary proposal for you in May. From a personnel perspective, some things folks may not know is the moment that we had to close the golf course for various reasons, I named Gene Fleming an acting deputy town manager to assist in making all the changes we need to make to operate in our new environment. Some of the things we've had to do is remove from the payroll part-time flex and temporary seasonal employees who haven't received a paycheck in 30 days. This was done for a number of reasons. We did that. We also had to craft a way to take staff members who, because of closed facilities, had no direct job because they did not interact with the public normally. They had no direct job in the building. We had to come up with an administrative leave protocol to do what they could best serve, how they could best serve us, which is to separate from the rest of the staff that is in the buildings. And so we've asked them to do that. Now that said, all the people on administrative leave must check in daily with their supervisor. They're subject to recall and reassignment. We have done both. We have moved people between departments based on operational needs. We will continue to do so. Another area in personnel where we've been very aggressive is anybody who is symptomatic or anyone who has a family member in their home who is symptomatic. is placed either in a telework status or on leave immediately. And they will remain there until we either get a negative test back or until 14 days is elapsed. And this we have done since the beginning of this. So March 12th, we put that policy in place, and it has been used. It has been used successfully. And I think it's one of the reasons why we've been able to mitigate some infection in our organization is because we got excruciatingly aggressive on that point. In short, it took us about 3 weeks from mid-March through the first week in April, but we have reinvented the way in which the town operates. We are learning how to operate effectively virtually. We are meeting our core missions that I referenced earlier, and we're looking for new ways to bring other services online. Case in point, at the end of last week, I was in contact with Cindy Roeder, our Director of Parks and Recreation, and we're looking to bring some virtual workouts using our full-time Parks and Recreation staff, and we'll do them on a Zoom-based training program. They're working out the kinks right now, but stay tuned to the town's website for more information when that comes back online. In fact, I encourage all folks to go to the town's website for news, information, and service adjustments related to the pandemic crisis. It still remains a very fluid situation for us, not nearly as fluid as it was a couple of weeks ago. It's still a fluid environment that we're working in, and as changes are made, we are posting them to all our social media channels, but they go up on the town's website. So I encourage everyone to go there to get their information. And at this point, I just think I need to thank town staff. They've been exceedingly resilient and flexible. I've asked them to do some incredible things, and they've stepped up and they've met the challenge. The town's management team just proved to me once again how talented and truly professional they are as we really reinvented how we do business. I especially want to give some credit to the town's information technology department. They have been placed in some very unique situations over the past several weeks and have risen to the occasion. Not just these WebExes, but the demands I've placed on them in terms of telecommuting and other demands, other reliance on virtual meetings and the like has placed a great deal of pressure on them, and they've truly exceeded my expectations. Now, I'm not just saying that because I used to be their director. I think the directors do a better job now, but they truly are doing a phenomenal job, and I want to thank them. And I want to thank you, Madam Mayor, and members of council. It's through your leadership we've been able to adjust and continue to operate during these trying times. You all have been invaluable, giving me valuable counsel over the past several weeks, and I deeply appreciate it. So on behalf of the staff, we could not thank you enough for the guidance and latitude that you've given us to make these operational changes. We deeply appreciate it, and it is truly a pleasure to serve this community, and it is a pleasure to serve this council. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions for the town manager about anything he just shared or related to the emergency? Anyone? Yes, ma'am, Madam Vice Mayor.
I may have missed it. Did you say anything, Mr. Town Manager, about the farmers market? Whether or not we will be having that, because I know
we will have an announcement by consent. I did not mention it tonight, but we'll have an announcement by consent.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Mr. Ashton? No? Okay. Thank you very much, sir. I concur with his comments about staff. They have gone above and beyond, and I really appreciate everything that everyone has done, and I know the council does as well. That brings us to comments from the town council, and I will once again remind you that comments are limited to continuity of operations and matters related to the emergency. So do we want to go in a certain order? Do you want me to call on you guys? Does anyone have comments? Ms. Friedrichs?
I just want to concur with what you said earlier, that the staff has been absolutely amazing. And I say that from the IT director's office, as with last week. I would not be able to join this group without his help. And just, you guys have been outstanding. And you talk about the town council giving you the latitude to do this. And that's because we trust you and we know you're really, really good at what you do. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I just want to mention to the council and to the public as well that the manager and I will be, I think the manager will be on both of these calls. There's a conference call tomorrow that I will be a part of with for mayors and Congressman Connolly. I apologize, I stumbled there. Later this week, there is one with the mayors and chairs from NVRC with Governor Northam's team. That was just set up this afternoon. And next week, there is a joint call with Senator Warner and Senator Kane for the mayors and chairs. And it's specifically, we have many things we want to ask them about, but specifically regarding support for local governments as we go through this, because as the manager mentioned, we are actually, if you looked at the ODU study, towns are at a critical point, more so than other types of jurisdictions. And also, if there is any, Senator Kane specifically asked if there are questions or suggestions about the stimulus package that's been passed. If we have specific questions or suggestions going forward, he welcomes those. So if you have any of those, if you'll send those to the town manager and to me, I'll make sure that I ask those questions and try to find out as much information from our leadership as we can. And of course, reach out to me anytime. I would love to hear from you guys. Just making sure there's no one who has another comment. Okay, thank you. That brings us to our public hearing item, which is ordinance 20019 to approve a second lease amendment to Celco Partnership doing business as Verizon Wireless at the town's 3rd Street water tower. This item was continued from our March 10th public hearing. I will open the public hearing and recognize our town attorney, Lisa Yates, for comments. Madam Town Attorney.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will make some short comments and then have a recommendation. As you note, this is a second lease amendment. The lease originated in 2002 with Celco Verizon and was amended once in 2012. This amendment that they are requesting at this time was to add some essential equipment upgrades to the site at 3rd Street. However, with the onset of the COVID-19 crisis, we've had discussions with the lessee, and they have agreed that it is not a critical governmental item, and they felt that they could wait until hopefully normal meetings resume. Mm-hmm. And the first time that might be possible, we believed would be July 14th, given the current governor's orders. So they are requesting in agreement with staff to continue the matter to July 14th.
Okay, are there questions from the council about this item? Anyone? Okay, my only question is, if for some reason we are unable to have a regular meeting in July, would we come together and probably continue it again? Or will it depend on the circumstances at that point?
If the governor or the General Assembly makes no other changes to the current law that allows us to have these electronic meetings, then we would need to continue that probably off of July 14th. But currently, that's where it stands.
Okay, thank you. And we believe they're coming together later this month, and it's possible there could be some changes, but we'll stay tuned for that.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other question for the town attorney on this item? Okay. This is a public hearing, so those wishing to address the council on this item, and if you're in the audience watching watching virtually, you should click your hand icon to be recognized, and the deputy town clerk will recognize you. Amanda, is there anyone who's joined the WebEx that would like to address the council on this item?
I do not see anybody, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So seeing no comments, I will ask if there is a motion to continue the public hearing on ordinance 20019 to a date certain so far of July 14th, 2020.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
I have a motion to continue by the Vice Mayor and seconded by Ms. Friedrichs. Is there discussion on this motion, anyone? Madam Vice Mayor, did you raise your hand?
Ma'am.
Okay, your virtual background, sometimes it looks like you're raising your hand when you don't, or the blur. So I just want to make sure I don't miss you. Okay, so seeing no comments, I will call the question and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Olem,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Delagula,
Yes.
Councilmember DeCall,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedrichs,
Yes.
Councilmember McKenna,
Yes.
Mayor Merkel.
Yes, so that motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Next up, we have a couple of general items. One is Resolution 20G15 to extend the due date for the first installment payment of real estate property taxes. And I will recognize Jenny Tripoli, our Director of Finance, for comments.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for bearing with me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. This item is a resolution that the town manager alluded to earlier to extend the due date of real estate taxes from July 28th until August 28th. This is again in line with Fairfax County to not create confusion for our taxpayers and for the mortgage companies. So it does delay about $6 million of cash inflow into the town, but we feel that we can weather that. So we're not in huge favor of extending it for that reason. This is something that could be extended up to 90 days, but so far it's just the 30 days, and that's what this resolution accomplishes, is to move that deadline to 30 days.
Okay, are there any questions for Ms. Tripoli on this item? Oh, funny, like I'm watching Hollywood Squares. Ms. Friedrichs.
Ms. Tripoli, it's just a 30-day difference in $6 million. Are we losing interest income from this? And also, when you say we can weather it, what does that mean, I guess?
So interest is basically rock bottom right now. So a month on $6 million is, a couple bucks literally. So there isn't that component. When I say we can weather it, the town has a fair amount of cash on hand. So, if we need a 30-day delay for that money, we have the cash to cover that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Other questions for Ms. Tripoli? Anyone? Okay, thank you very much, Jenny.
Thank you.
So I will, if there's no further discussion or questions, I will ask for a motion.
So moved.
Madam Mayor, I move for Resolution 20-G-15 for passage.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
I see a motion made by Mr. McKenna, seconded by Ms. Baker. Is there discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, I will call the question and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Olem,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Delagula,
Yes.
Councilmember DeCall,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedrichs,
Yes.
Councilmember McKenna,
Yes.
Mayor Merkel.
Yes, that motion carries. Our final item this evening is Ordinance 20-0-25. to amend Chapter 30 Finance and Taxation to temporarily extend the due dates for the remittance of transient occupancy taxes. Comments received by the council on this item have been entered into the record, and I should have said for the previous item as well, were entered into the record. And I'll once again recognize Ms. Tripoli, our Director of Finance, for comment.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As is shown in this ordinance, we are requesting extension of the due date for payment only, not for the filing of information returns. So anything that was due in March would be due in June, anything due in April would be due in July, and anything due in May and June would be due in August. They're both due in August. There's a number of reasons, not the least of which is that we're in the midst of closing our books for the fiscal year in August, and so we need that information. Normally with excise taxes, because they are trust taxes, we take a harder line, but these are not normal times. And so what we're proposing is a later payment date contingent upon the timely filing again of the information returns, and will waive penalties and interest for those payments, so long as they're made by the new extended dates. So it's to provide a bit of relief because, you know, the bottom fell out from everyone instantly, and it's a liquidity problem. So that is the reason for the request. Now, a question was asked last week about whether Fairfax County had done the same for their transient occupancy taxes. The answer is they have not. They have extended personal property, real estate, and business licenses, but not any of the excise taxes.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for staff on this item? Anyone? Okay, thank you, Jenny.
Great, thank you.
So seeing no further questions, I will entertain a motion on ordinance 20025. Yes, ma'am, Madam Vice Mayor.
Madam Mayor, I move ordinance 20-0-25 for approval.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve made by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Mr. DeCall. Discussion on the motion.
Yes, as Ms. Tripoli said, the bottom did just drop out, and with everyone social distancing and staff constraints, I'm sure the 30 days will be something that they'll be able to get their reports in on time.
Thank you. Further discussion. Ms. Friedrichs.
I was initially concerned about this because I know how difficult it can be to come back if you've been using your transient, any kind of taxes, if you've been using them for other purposes to keep yourself liquid. However, this is just an extraordinary time. Their revenues have crashed, and it seems to me that it would be, you know, lacking in kindness to not accept this. So I support it. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Yes, sir. Mr. DeLagula.
Yeah, first of all, thank you to whomever sent the New York Times article on the hotels.
Mr. McKenna.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. I was just, two things jumped out at me. First, that had nothing to do with this transient occupancy tax. It did, however, had to do with the real estate B-poll. And I think that is certainly something that we could certainly look at going forward for remedy. But the other thing that jumped out at me, and I'm quoting from the article here, that the franchise owners attribute 20% of their revenue back to the actual parent. That's 20%. I think we would have been better served helping these franchise owners possibly deal with their corporate entities. I think the money's already been collected. I don't see that this would be a cash flow issue for them. It potentially exposes us in July when we're closing books in August as a cash flow issue. So I'm going to take a stand against this. I'm not for this. I think it just sends the wrong message for me. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion on this item? Mr. McKenna.
No, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. And Mr. Delegate, thank you very much for those comments. I think they are salient. Another thing we need to consider as well is once things start to come back, who are the people that are being employed by the hotel and, these industries? They're the ones who tend to be the most vulnerable, the ones that we talk about affordable housing and things of that nature. And we need to be there for them right now. It's not obviously a panacea, but I do believe that having the, just putting the flag out to support these businesses in time, because there's projections now that the hotel industry will take over 30 months to come back to even get back to even. So, just giving them a fighting chance, I think a few weeks, a month or two won't kill us, but it could kill them. So I think we should give them grace, because at this time, whenever, again, I use this analogy, whenever we needed them to pay their bills, they did. I think we need to be a little bit cognizant of that and help them out as well. So thank you very much.
Okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak on this item? Has everyone who wanted to speak spoken? Okay, then I'll call back on Mr. Del Aguila.
No, I appreciate those comments. And I will tell you and remind everyone that no one is more empathetic to the working class, those that at risk, those that need the financial assistance. My background is from, that area. We were on food stamps, we were on welfare, we were in, subsidized housing. What I'm talking about is comparing our portion to the 20% revenues paid to the corporate entities. That's not a real comparison. The real impact to them would be us negotiating with the franchisees on behalf of them for the corporate entities for relief there. 20% of your revenue is a huge difference. That's the difference between staying in business and potentially going out. Our single digit, low digit is not going to make a big difference. In fact, it, again, exposes us, but I'm in the minority and that's fine. I just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you. I hear what you're saying. I think that I'm not sure the town's in a position to negotiate that with our businesses and their corporations, but we are in a position to help with this excise tax. So I think that's why we are looking at that. I don't know if our town attorney or manager has a comment on that or not. And then I did see you, Ms. Friedrichs. No. Okay, Ms. Friedrichs, and then I will call the question.
Well, I was just going to suggest that we also look into the other, into what Mr. Del Aguila brought up, but I'm still in favor of giving them the leeway, even though I know it can backfire on them if they're not able to pay later. But I think as Mr. McKenna said, if we can do something, I'd like to. So, thanks.
All right, thank you very much for the discussion. And we have a motion made by the Vice Mayor to approve and seconded by Mr. DeCall. Once again, I will ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Vice Mayor Olem,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Del Aguila,
No,
Councilmember DeCall,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedrichs,
Yes.
Councilmember McKenna,
Yes.
Mayor Merkel.
Yes, so that motion carries 6-1 with Mr. Del Aguila voting no. And that does complete our agenda this evening. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Second.
All those, we have to ask the clerk to please call the roll. Thank you. Old habits die hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Vice Mayor Olem,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Del Aguila,
yes.
Councilmember DeCall,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedrichs,
Yes.
Councilmember McKenna,
Yes.
Mayor Merkel.
Yes, that motion carries unanimously. And I would just like to thank IT and HCTV for all that they've done to make this work as smoothly as it has this evening. And We'll see you here same time next week. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe.